Good morning to everyone. In this lecture, EC8551 Communication Network, third year ECE, the Unit 5 Application Layer. In the previous sessions, we discussed the application layer in the URL and what is a web pages document and client server programming models. Now, today in this lecture, we discuss the HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocols. The standard web transfer protocol is a HTTP protocol. The HTTP protocol consists of two parameters, that is the set of requests from the browser to the server and the set of response going back on the other way. All the new versions of HTTP support two kind of request, that is a simple request and full request. A simple request is just a single get line, namely the page desired without the protocol versions. The response is just the raw page with no header, no MIME and no encoding. To see how this works, try making a telnet connections to port 80 of www.w3.origin and then type get/hypertext/www/ the project.html. The full requests are indicated by the presence of protocol versions on the get lines, that is a request line. The request may consist of multiple lines following by the blank line to the indicate at the end of the request. The first line of the full request contains the command, the page desired and the protocol or version. The HTTP was designed for use in the web pages. It has been intensely made moreover generally than necessary with an eye to future object oriented applications. For the reasons, the first word on the full request line is simply the name of the method, that is a command, to the executable on the web pages, that is a general object. The HTTP transaction, it uses the several types of TCP. HTTP is an stateless protocol. The client initializes the transaction by the sending and a request message. The server replies by the sender as a response. So, the HTTP messages. The message are divided into two types. Number one, request, and number two, response. Both message type use the same format. The request message consists of a request line, header and a body. The request defines the request type, resource, HTTP versions. The request type categorizes the request message into several methods of the HTTP version 1.1. The URL is a standard for specifying any kind of information on the internet. The URL defined four things. Number one, method. Number two, host computer. Number three, port. Number four, path. Now we see the example of URL. The URL we consist of them. First one, HTTP is a protocol and www is a subdomain. Technical publication is a domain name. .origin is a top level domain. home.html is a file path. In this method is a protocols used to retrieve the document. Several different protocols can retrieve a document, among them the file transfer protocol and hyper transfer protocols. The host is the computer where the information is located, although the name of the computer can be a server. The web pages are usually stored in the computer and the computer are given memory, that is the characters of www dot. The URL can optionally contain the port number of the server, that is a path is name of the file where the information is located. So the request type of the field in the request message different several kind of messages refer to the method. What are the different kind of messages? Number one, get message, header, post, put, patch, delete, copy, move, link, unlink, options. So these following categories of messages are requested to the server. The response messages, it contains the status lines, a header and a body. The status line defines the status of the response message. It consists of HTTP versions type, number 2 space, number 3 status code, number 4 space, number 5 status parenthesis. Now we see the HTTP header. The HTTP header can be one or more header lines. Each header line is made of the header name, a colon, a space and a header value. The header exchange additional information between the client and the server. A header line belongs to one of the four categories. That is a general header. It includes the general information about the message. Request and a response both contain the header, general header. The response header, it can be present only in a response message. It specifies the several configurations and special information about the request. The request header can be present only in the request message. It is specified the client configurations and the client preferred document format. Entity header, it is information about the body of the document. It is mostly present in the response message. Some request message such as post and put messages. It contains a body of the type of header. The HTTP connections are the two types: persist HTTP and non-persist HTTP. In non-persistent HTTP connections, in this type of connections, one TCP connection is made for each request and response. Suppose the page consists of a base HTTP file and the 10 JPEG image, and that all 11 of these objects reside on the same server. Suppose the URL for the base of HTML file is www.vtubooks.com. The sequence of events, the HTTP client include the TCP connection to the server, that is a port number 80. It is difficult port number of the HTTP. The HTTP client send a HTTP request messages to the server. Vice the socket. A request message include the path name, IT department, home.index. The HTTP server receive the request messages into the socket. The server tell the TCP to close the TCP connections. So the HTTP's client receive the response messages. The TCP connections terminate. The first four steps are then repeated for each of the reference JPEG images. As the browser received the web pages, it displayed the page to the user. In this lecture, we studied the HTTP, that is a hyper transfer protocol, hypertext transfer protocols, and what are the HTTP messages, and then response messages, and the HTTP transfer file protocols, and the header format, and the connections. Thank you for watching this video.